hello, hello. Come on in. Like the video as you guys come in. We're going to get into some hot topics, trending topics. It's being reported that different celebrity basketball players are now in trouble with the law in regards to an alleged illegal gambling scheme. So we're going to get straight to it. Just give me a few seconds to get into my page, do my disclaimer. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21, where we talk hot topics, trending topics, and what's going on around the world. That's going on in Instagram and in media. So just allow me a few seconds. We're going to get into talked about. This is very interesting because remember, wasn't long ago somebody else was arrested, right? And now it's being reported up to almost 30 arrests. So wow. Well, let's get into it, and then let me see. Just give me a second to get into my video. There we go. Okay, so now I should be able to get here. Yeah, just allow me a few seconds. How it's set up, I wish I could do it prior to, but just give me a few seconds, and then we'll get into the video. All comments are alleged, period. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Hello, Paris. I finally saw one of your messages, and I messaged you back last night. I hope you saw it. I got into some TTT last night, giving you updates. Those videos, the message I sent you, those got worked out. Thank goodness. But yes, I messaged you back last night, and I don't often see messages. I'd be so busy. I'd be so busy. I was like, thank goodness. She said, I missed you. I missed you. And then I said, okay, let me tell her what's. So once you read it, yeah, yeah. So, yep, I did respond. So, hello, hello, hello. We're going to get into this. There's these NBA players. Okay, let's get into the news. Let's get into the hot topics. What's going on? And we're going to go from there. As you guys know, I like basketball. So for this to be happening, we talked about when the other person got arrested uh, a month ago. So now more basketball players are being arrested, and it's being reported that there's about 30. So let's get into the news and the press conference and how they got caught and why they got caught. Huh. I hope all is well, Paris. I was shocked about this. I was like, am I reading this right? Thank goodness I wasn't doing what I do. Okay, so the press conference is about to start.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Joseph Nocella. I am the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. I'd like to welcome you here today. In addition, we have with us today FBI Director Kash Patel, FBI Assistant Director in Charge Christopher Rea of the New York Field Office, Special Agent in Charge of the New York Field Office Leslie Bakshies, New York Special Agent in Charge of Homeland Security Ricky Patel, Newark Special Agent in Charge of Homeland Security Michael McCarty, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenny, and the Executive Director of the Waterfront Commission, Phoebe Sorrell. I'm now going to turn the podium over to FBI Director Kash Patel.
So let's hear what happened, you guys. Why did they get arrested?
We're here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing.
Wow.
Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
Wow.
And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms, where our brave United States attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Cosa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people from money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where dark games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn it over to United States Attorney Nosella. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patel. To be clear, we're announcing today indictments in two major cases, both involving fraud. One involves sports betting, and the other involves illegal gambling, very specifically rigged poker games. The first indictment involves 6 defendants who are alleged to have participated in one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information
individuals
about National
such as
Basketball
Chauncey.
Association
It was incredibly frustrating
The second indictment
to
involves
be
31
affected
defendants
something
alleged to
without
have participated in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games.
Hold on.
These defendants, which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology
I'll
to
just
steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra.
I was about to switch
While
the
the cases
picture,
are
but
separate, there are 3 overlapping defendants charged in both cases: Damon Jones, Eric Ernest, and Shane Hennon. The indictments in these cases contain only allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of law. But my message to the defendants who've been rounded up today is this: your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that. First, I would like to talk about United States versus Ernest, the NBA basketball gambling case. The defendants in this case are Eric Ernest, Marvez Farley, Shane Hennon, Deniro Laster, Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach, and Terry Rozier, a current NBA player. Other co-conspirators were previously charged for their roles in the scheme, including former NBA player Jonte Porter. Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants created a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams.
pan out a little. Is that
Non-public
better?
information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses. They relied on corrupt individuals, including Jones and Rozier.
Okay.
They also misused information obtained through long-standing friendships that they had with NBA players and coaches. And in at least one instance, they got their information by threatening a current player, Porter, because of his pre-existing gambling debts. Defendants used this non-public information to place hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent bets, mostly in the form of prop bets on individual player performance. The bets were placed through online sports books and also in person at casinos. The defendants relied on a network of straw bettors to place the maximum amount of bets to increase their potential profits. Most of these bets succeeded, and the intended losses were in the millions of dollars. The defendants then laundered their illegal winnings in various ways: peer-to-peer platforms, bank wires, and simple cash exchanges.
Wow.
The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers. Each defendant in the NBA basketball gambling case has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Now, I would like to turn to the other case, United States versus Aiello, the rigged poker game case. Beginning as early as 2019, the defendants in this case orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant, Chauncey billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam.
Wow.
Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information to an off-site operator.
Wow. Y'all, I'm shocked. I think in some of my sports memorabilia, I think I might have a Chauncey Phillips signature. Real talk. I like sports too. I'm shocked, y'all. This is crazy. Like the video, and I was almost doing something else. Hold on.
Operator. The off-site operator sent the information via cell phone to a co-conspirator at the table, and that person at the table was known as the quarterback.
Wow.
The quarterback then signaled secretly the information he had received from others to others at the table, and together they used that information in order to win their games and to cheat the victims. Defendants used other cheating technologies such as poker chip tray analyzers, which is a poker tray that secretly reads cards using a hidden camera, special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards,
Wow.
and an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table. What you see depicted on the screen right now is an example of the X-ray table that reveals the cards. Although they are face down on the table, they can be read because of the X-ray technology. The mafia, specifically members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese organized crime families, had pre-existing control over non-rigged, illegal poker games around New York City. As a result, they also became involved in the rigged poker games, helping to organize the games and taking a cut of the proceedings, and working to enforce the collection of debts.
Mm.
The defendants laundered their proceeds, including through cash exchanges, the use of multiple shell companies, and through cryptocurrency transfers.
Mm-mm.
As part of the scheme, some of the defendants and their co-conspirators also committed acts of violence, including the gunpoint robbery of a person in order to obtain a rigged shuffling machine, and extortions that were perpetrated against victims in order to ensure that they repaid their gambling debts. Defendants who participated in the rigged poker scheme are charged with wire fraud conspiracy. Other defendants have been charged with crimes including illegal gambling, money laundering, Hobbs Act robbery, and extortions. This case demonstrates our office's unrelenting commitment to fighting the scourge of organized crime in whatever form it takes. I'd like to conclude my remarks by thanking the incredible hard work of our law enforcement partners, including the FBI, Homeland Security, the NYPD.
What did Cat Williams say? All lies gonna be exposed. We weren't expecting this. My goodness. Let's continue. Fair use. Reaction clip.
NYPD and the Waterfront Commission. I also want to thank the dedicated prosecutors who built these two cases and who are standing to my right. Benjamin Weintraub, David Bourbon, Caitlin Farrell, Michael Gibaldi, Irisa Jen, and Sean Sherman. They had the assistance of paralegal specialists Liam McNett, John Schneider, Marlene Bosma. Also deserving of our thanks because of their outstanding investigative work on the NBA case are FBI special agents Russell Lantier, Dominic Mariani, Amy Giaroso, Shane Wilkins, and Supervisory Special Agent Luke Hardison. On the rigged poker game scheme, outstanding work was performed by FBI Special Agents Thomas Cribbett, Jeff Boriola, Jonathan Corona, Alexander Silverman, Amy Campanaro, and Supervisory Special Agent Michael Malahi, as well as NYPD Task Officer James McCullough, and from Homeland Security, Supervisory Special Agent Charles Freund, and from the Waterfront Commission, Detective Paul Shimborsky. Finally, I want to note that the investigations in both cases are ongoing, and we encourage anyone with information about either scheme to please contact the FBI. Now I would like to turn the podium over to Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office, I should say the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office of the FBI, Christopher Rea. Chris?
Like the
All right,
video.
thank you, Joe.
Like the
As always,
video.
I appreciate the partnership here. Can't do any of this without you and your team, so thank you. Also want to publicly thank the director for coming down from DC. The director's a very busy person, and for him to come down should tell you the importance of this historic case. I'm Christopher Rea, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI New York Field Office. Today, as you've heard, our office conducted a massive nationwide takedown from 2 indictments of 34 defendants for their alleged involvement in 2 separate illegal poker and sports betting schemes where, as you heard, the odds were rigged in their favor. Among these defendants are 13 members and associates of Dano, Gambino, and Genovese crime families, to include capos and soldiers from these families. Additionally, as you heard, current and former NBA coaches and players are also implicated, to include Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier. 3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in both schemes. This alleged illegal gambling operation hustled unwitting victims out of tens of millions of dollars and created a financial pipeline for La Cosa Nostra to help fund and facilitate their organized criminal activity. Victims were attracted to play alongside well-known professional athletes and coaches like Chauncey Billups, only to be unknowingly deceived through rigged shuffling machines, fixing the odds in their favor, as alleged, and as you just heard from the U.S. Attorney's Office. This alleged scheme wreaked havoc across the nation, exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families here in New York.
Wow.
Let me be clear about this fact. For the 10th year in a row, the Mazda CX-5.
Like the video. Like the video. Fair use. Reaction clip. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's continue. My goodness.
The FBI has not and will never take their eye off the ball when it comes to Italian organized crime in this city, specifically the LCN and the 5 families here in New York. We are not going to permit any criminal enterprise, whether it be Italian organized crime, Asian organized crime, Eurasian.
So much corruption. So much. It's like, what do people be thinking about? You don't think about your family? Why would you break the law? Come on, really?
Organized crime. We're not going to permit any of those organized crimes, families, and organizations to operate in our city.
I guess they thought they were smarter than, I guess they thought they were never going to get caught. The biggest thing is when you're gambling, you're constantly losing. Somebody's going to speak up that something don't seem right. You know what I mean? If you're constantly losing, somebody going to speak up and say something don't seem right. And they going to send somebody inside to figure out what's going on. So they must have sent somebody inside. That's how they knew what it was, and the readers and all. They sent somebody inside. Once you're losing so much and you're getting over on people, they're going to investigate.
For our country, as evidenced by the 11 states that were also participating in this operation today. The FBI office here in New York remains committed to eradicating all unlawful revenue streams fueling this criminal activity.
As with most cases we work, this is only the tip of the iceberg for the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. Our LCN squad agents and analysts are continuing to work day and night with the Eastern District of New York to ensure members and associates of the 5 families cannot continue to wreak havoc in our communities. Today would not have been possible without the tireless efforts and dedication of the FBI New York Eurasian Organized Crime Task Force, which, as you heard, was led by Supervisory Special Agent Luke Hardison, and the Italian Organized Task Force, which was led by Supervisory Special Agent Mike Malahi. And coincidentally, Supervisory Special Agent Malahi is going out on a positive as he is retiring at the end of this month for 30 years of dedicated service to the FBI, and that deserves a hand. He's what we call a legend here at FBI New York. Additionally, obviously, we cannot do this alone without our partners. I want to extend my appreciation to Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge, Ricky Patel. Of course, we do nothing in the city without the NYPD. New York City Police Department Commissioner Jesse Tisch, thank you, ma'am, for all your work and all your resources that you dedicated to this. And New York Waterfront Commissioner Phoebe Soriel for their agency's assistance and support throughout this lengthy and complex investigation. Our collective efforts ensure these subjects face accountability, like the director said, for their alleged wrongdoings. Thank you, and I'll now turn it over to Special Agent in Charge of HSI, Ricky Patel.
Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rick Patel, the Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in New York. This morning, hundreds of special agents and investigators with HSI, the FBI, the New York Waterfront Commission, and the NYPD descended upon the homes of individuals who for years have operated with the false sense of impunity, a false sense of incivility. In the early hours of today, across 9 states coast to coast, dozens of defendants were arrested and will face the consequences of their alleged crimes. This was their wake-up call. With the alleged involvement of 3 La Cosa Nostra crime families, 1 NBA head coach, a Hall of Famer, no less, and former NBA players, the years of investigative work that culminated with this morning's operation seem reminiscent of a Hollywood movie. But this wasn't luck, and this wasn't theatrics. This was an evidence-driven, relentless, and unified effort among law enforcement. Through what we have dubbed Operation Royal Flush, HSI New York, along with our task force personnel from the Waterfront Commission, first uncovered this scheme more than 4 years ago.
Wow.
Agents and investigators dedicated countless hours and sleepless nights in identifying the criminal network, dissecting communications and patterns, and following the money with precision. We built the keys, piece by piece, and what we discovered was a sprawling criminal enterprise that utilized cutting-edge technology and various methods of deception to dupe unsuspecting gamblers into paying up so that these defendants could cash out. As alleged, this sophisticated conspiracy cheated victims out of at least $7 million and placed the public and the defendants alike at risk. This case involved global reach, financial depth, and the patience to dismantle complex financial criminal enterprises from the inside out. When criminal organizations attempt to launder profits through our country, HSI connects the dots and shuts it down. To anyone who thinks intimidation, fraud, or violence will shield their profits, understand this. If you are exploiting our communities, expect HSI and all of our law enforcement partners at your door. I would like to thank all our partners here today. Obviously, the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York, the Waterfront Commission, the FBI, the NYPD, and the prosecutors that will carry this forward. Today's arrests are not an endpoint. They are the start of accountability. Thank you, and I now turn it over to Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
Like the video, like the video. Like the video. Wow, 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 wow.
Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
4 years of
Good
investigation.
morning. Thank you to Director Patel, Assistant Director Rhea, and U.S. Attorney Nocella. What we're announcing today is not just another takedown. It's the result of more than 2 years of coordinated investigative work by the NYPD's Joint Organized Crime Task Force and the FBI. 2 cases that exposed criminal networks led by 34 individuals who believed the rules did not apply to them. They hid behind layers of complexity, behind money, and behind influence, believing those things would shield them from accountability. The first case, Operation Nothing But Bet, exposed a gambling ring built around professional basketball, where players and associates allegedly used inside information to manipulate prop bets on major sports betting platforms. They placed wagers on unders on players to score less,
Hold on, it's buffering. Hold on.
rebound less, assist less, information that was not yet public. In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out.
See, and that's Huge. Like the video, like the video.
One example occurred on March 23rd, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he wanted to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash.
Wow.
As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity. As a result of this investigation, 6 defendants, including Rozier, are now facing conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In a second case, Operation Zen Diagram, investigators uncovered a long-running scheme in which members and associates of several well-known organized crime families rigged high-stakes poker games across the country. These operatives included capos and multiple soldiers from the Bonanno, Gambino, Lucchese, and Genovese crime families. Bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare. It reflects how deep and how far this investigation reached, and the skill and the persistence it took to get here. That work uncovered a deliberate, technologically sophisticated operation designed to carry out their crimes. They used custom shuffling machines that could read the order of cards, barcoded decks, and hidden cameras built into tables and light fixtures. The organizers also enlisted well-known public figures, former and current NBA players and coaches, including Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, an NBA champion and a Hall of Famer, to make the games appear legitimate. Victims believed that they were sitting at a fair table. Instead, they were cheated out of millions. One victim in particular lost $1.8 million. In total, losses exceeded $7 million and continue to climb.
Wow.
And when people refused to pay, these defendants did what organized crime has always done. They used threats, they used intimidation, and they used violence. It's the same pattern that we have seen for decades. Traditional mob enforcement methods combined with new technology to expand the reach of their operations. Now, with the unsealing of today's indictment, 34 individuals are facing charges, including robbery, extortion, money laundering, wire fraud, bank fraud, and illegal gambling. I want to commend the outstanding work of our detectives from the Joint Organized Crime Task Force and their dedication to these cases, especially Captain Ruben Pagan, Sergeant Chris McGuire, Detective Alexander Creamer, Detective James McCullough, and of course, our Chief of Detectives, Chief Kenny. As part of these investigations, our members recovered and reviewed thousands of hours of video, conducted extensive surveillance on illegal gambling locations across the city, and executed more than 24 search warrants on electronic records that revealed the true extent of this conspiracy. Once again, the work of our detectives, together with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, closed those gaps before they could widen further. The NYPD is proud to stand with each of you today, as these cases represent the kind of partnership that defines modern law enforcement agencies, sharing intelligence, coordinating resources, and moving as one team. Thank you.
Like the video, like the video.
If anyone has
Good
any questions
afternoon.
that they'd like to ask, now's the time.
Okay, sometimes it's kind of hard to hear the questions, so we're going to move on. Like the video as you guys come in. We're going to continue with the news. I'm wondering, outside of these 2, who's the top basketball player that's also been arrested?
And current Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups under arrest in a separate investigation involving illegal poker games, which investigators say were rigged and tied to the mob.
In all, 34 people now under arrest in these investigations that officials say involve tens of millions of dollars in high-tech deceptions. Eyewitness News reporter Lindsay Tuckman live in downtown Brooklyn with the details. Lindsay.
Yeah, David, Sandra, this was a massive illegal gambling operation that officials say spans many years and many states. And 34 people, including many well-known NBA players, are facing charges such as extortion, robbery, money laundering, illegal gambling, and more. We just heard all of this in a news conference in the building behind me here, where many officials spoke on these 2 alleged schemes. They're 2 separate cases with some overlapping defendants. One of the cases is a sports betting scheme involving Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and former Cavaliers player Damon Jones. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, they say the NBA stars fed sports bettors insider information to place wagers with.
I saw that picture, and that's what I almost had flashing, but I changed my mind, Harris. If so, I'm heartbroken. But choices were made.
Online sports books. An example being a March 2023 game where Rozier, then playing for the Hornets, allegedly tipped off a co-defendant that he planned to leave a game early with an injury as $200,000 in wagers were placed on the under. Now, the second scheme is a legal poker game set up allegedly by organized crime families such as the Gambinos.
Allegedly, because I don't know what's all involved regarding him, so I don't know in regards to him. But that's the picture I almost had flashing, but I changed my mind.
And the Genovese families. This involved Portland Trailblazers head coach and former player Chauncey Billups. Now, some photos were shared in the news conference today of how the games were allegedly rigged using complex cheating technology like an X-ray table to read the cards that were face down and special contact lenses. Authorities say this was used to hustle victims out of tens of millions of dollars under the ruse that they were getting to play poker with NBA legends. Now, today's press conference included FBI Director Kash Patel alongside the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District and even NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
One of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams.
And when people refused to pay, these defendants did what organized crime has always done. They used threats, they used intimidation, and they used violence.
Now, Rozier and Billups will be heading to federal court in Orlando and Portland, respectively, but will eventually be arraigned here in Brooklyn at a later date. Meantime, those that were arrested in the New York area are expected to be arraigned here in Brooklyn at some point today. Now, officials do say that the NBA was cooperative in the investigation. The season just started this past Tuesday. Live in downtown Brooklyn, Lindsay Todd.
Yeah, because remember when some of our guy friends were like, oh, yeah, the sports betting, and oh, this person had to get this number of score, and I would get this amount of money. I remember guys talking about it.
How's your accident case going?
Like the video.
He's okay.
Fair use reaction clip. So if they were rigging that and people were not doing what they were supposed to be doing, that in itself is a concern.
Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups are under arrest this morning in connection with federal sports betting investigations. According to 3 sources with direct knowledge of the matter, members and associates of organized crime groups are also among the couple of dozen individuals expected to face criminal charges in 2 separate illegal gambling-related cases. Rozier has previously been linked to unusual betting patterns surrounding his play, specifically during the 2023 season with the Charlotte Hornets. Charges for Billups appear to be related to an illegal poker operation. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn and FBI Director Kash Patel are scheduled to hold a news conference on the cases at the top of the hour. Joining us now, New York Magazine contributing editor and Washington Post columnist Leach, with the latest, and also, what do you make of the news, Will?
I mean, it is. They're saying these investigations are separate but related, which
Right.
I think speaks to how kind of wide-ranging this is. This is the second time that Rozier has been a part of something. To me, the larger thing, the fact that Billups, he's a coach. Like there's also an assistant coach, David Jones, who's involved in this as well. The fact that this is not the first time that Rozier's been involved. This has not been the first NBA situation. This has not been the sports situation. Remember, Emmanuel Clase, the closer for the Cleveland Guardians, was unable to play the end of the season and in the playoffs because he's currently involved in a gambling investigation involved in as well with Major League Baseball. This is something that a lot of people have been warning about for a long period of time, not just when gambling was made legal, at least states were unable to make it illegal, but also when leagues themselves have jumped really full feet. You watch these games on the FanDuel network, and there are broadcasters saying, hey, if you want to get a little action on this game right now, on this free throw that's coming up, particularly when you come to the Rozier thing. Rozier is the thing involving micro betting, which is the idea you bet on what's going to happen to the next player, how many assists they're going to get in something. That is something that's very ripe for corruption. I think we've seen that multiple times with him.
Okay, forgive me but I mean, it just seems like gambling and sports, and you just mentioned, that it seems very much hand in hand. So what makes it illegal? What crosses the line here, and how do these cases that we're just hearing about potentially play into that?
Well, because the players themselves are not allowed to do this, and very clearly, the thing that was worrisome with them.
And so that's my question. You know me, I think outside the box. So some of those guys were gambling, and the games were fixed. Could they then sue some of these people? I'm wondering. Because if some of this stuff was fixed, people lost millions. And then if people were not playing how they really should have been playing and it was fixed, how does that work? I'm wondering. I'm sure a bunch of guys are about to be talking about this. I just haven't been out, and I really haven't seen. But I'm wondering how that's going to work in regards to them betting, but then it was fixed. What's going to happen?
Manuel Clase, for example, investigation that's still going on in Major League Baseball, he was accused of like the first pitch he would throw would be a ball or a strike, and people were able to bet on whether or not it would be a ball or a strike. That's one of the issues that a lot of people have with micro betting. We've seen players ban from the league permanently for this, with the idea of get a certain number of rebounds. If you can bet under 5 rebounds, and then he pulls a hamstring at the beginning of the game and can't play the rest of the game. You're seeing things like these things are generally flagged. There are groups that keep an eye on. That's actually how Rozier was caught on this. Is there are gambling groups that keep an eye on this stuff. Now the billups thing is different. That does appear it's related, but it does appear to be involved to a poker ring. But again, that's the coach of a team. These things are any athlete that's involved in this, particularly in their own sport. It's a very, very dangerous thing.
Isn't this, in many ways, though, an issue of what it does to the fans, the consumers who are buying tickets, who are supporting something that is lucrative, that is really being fixed? And ultimately, they're the victims, not the teams. The victims are really the sports fans that are paying for what they think is fair, or that has no leaning either way.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no question. There's a lot of things that sports can survive, whether it's a steroid scandal or labor issues. One thing you do have to everyone has to agree on, though, is that the games are on the level. At a certain level, everything falls apart if you don't have if that fundamental understanding. Everyone is just playing to try to win these games with no financial motive or somehow trying to lose or taking a fall or anything like that. That's the scary thing about this. Has been, again, the thing that people have worried about with gambling for a very long time and being so involved in sports. It's not so much that gambling is inherently terrible or the idea that you shouldn't be allowed to do it. It's the idea that if you start thinking these games aren't on the level, what's the point of watching them? What's the point of getting invested in them if there are things the whole structure of sports falls down if you don't have that fundamental thing. This team's trying to win, and this team is also trying to win for the reasons of competition and not for the reasons that we're seeing right now.
Exactly.
The head of the NCAA was here on the show a few weeks ago, and I was absolutely riveted by the interview because he talked about efforts that they're making to try to prevent these kind of micro betting on college athletes because it's so destructive to them. Are you seeing any signs that there might be some reform in this kind of? It feels like such a just sort of free for all on gambling right now.
Cheating big time because remember, I think you were here, Paris, in the beginning. Remember how they said the one gentleman they went to his house and he collected the bet. So they were cashing in the money almost the same day. My goodness.
Both at the pro level and then maybe most destructively at the college level. Is there any movement to shift that? I know the NCAA seems like to see some of those rules change.
They are. There certainly have been movements to push. There has been some success, but you have to realize, this is not like gambling like it was in the 70s, right? Where you called someone that was at the casino and he made a bet for you, and then you moved on. These are all on these bets are happening on people's phones in a matter of seconds. The idea that you can make a bet on a free throw that someone's about to shoot while you're sitting in the arena, potentially looking him in the eye,
right?
He's about to shoot the free throw. So yeah, there has been a push, particularly in college sports, to try to push that back. But again, this is the difference. This is the combination of gambling being made legal.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Yeah, because when you think about it, remember how the guys were using their phones and they were watching the games. So I'm be making some phone calls tonight. Wait a minute. Hold on. Like the video as y'all come in. So I'm wondering if people can do something regarding that. If they're able to, I don't know, can they sue if they were fixing the games?
We take you away from that press conference in Brooklyn, New York, to now bring in our NBA expert, Sam Quinn. And Sam, a lot to take in right there. I think the biggest things that we should take a look at are the illegal gambling and the poker betting that we were just hearing about with Chauncey Billups.
Because it would be the app. It would be the app that if they were found, I'm wondering, me, if it's the app, people lost, and that was one of the fixed ones. I'm wondering if people can sue the app. I'm wondering. That's going to be a big question.
And Terry Rozier, what were your takeaways that you just heard?
Yeah, I look back at the Jonte Porter scandal. There was some hope, I think, that this was an isolated incident. It was a two-way player, somebody who hadn't made a lot of money playing in the NBA. Maybe he was vulnerable, but it wasn't, say, a widespread problem. Terry Rozier has made $160 million playing in the NBA. If he's vulnerable to a scandal like this, that raises a lot of questions that I don't think the NBA has good answers for. I think this is probably the most significant gambling scandal the NBA has faced yet. The hope, and I mean, with multiple, between Chauncey Billups, who I guess is in a different with the poker investigation, getting investigated for different things, but between Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones and Terry Rozier, this is much more significant than just a single player, like was the case with Chauncey Porter. It's the most significant gambling investigation I think the NBA has dealt with. And yeah, all I can say is there's a lot more investigation to be done here. And this is a very dangerous situation for the league as a whole.
Yeah, certainly not a good day for the NBA at all. I want to look at some of the notes that I took down that we just heard from the some of the federal officials. Called it a historic case, massive nationwide takedown. We heard from FBI Director Kash Patel, who said that it was spanning back years for this investigation, and the amount of money that we're talking about here is tens of millions of dollars that people are now out and frauded of. When we talk about the Terry Rozier case, because I think it's important to separate the two from Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, you look at Rozier and maybe the implications of, we've known about this in the investigation the NBA did, where they found no wrongdoing. And now that we've seen the story and how it all played out with Chauncey Porter and him being banned from the NBA, when you look at it just from a basketball perspective, when it comes to Terry Rozier, we have to expect that.
That's a good question if it goes beyond the NBA. Currently, they're talking about the NBA. Other sports stuff that could happen in regards to them too. But I'm wondering, since they had their own collab set up, spyware, they had the table, the card reader, they honed in on them because of the red flags. So if other teams did something similar, possibly other teams be looked at, but they had their own organization going on. So we'll kind of keep an eye on it. But that's a good question. If other sports, I'm wondering, baseball, did you fix a game? I don't know. Football, did you fix a game? I don't know. You know what I mean? This, oh my goodness.
If he is in fact guilty, because we know he's innocent until proven guilty of these allegations.
Not catching the football, acting injured, not throwing the pitch right. Wow. Wow.
If he is guilty, this has to be the end of the career and the end of the road for Rozier in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely. You can't come back from this, right? And Chauncey Porter was pretty quickly banned from the NBA for life. When his wrongdoing came to light, the NBA investigated it, and the ban came in quickly after. Now, Chauncey Porter was a two-way player. He wasn't somebody that was ever especially impactful on an NBA court. Terry Rozier, a longtime starter, somebody who's gotten multiple big contracts, played on a big stage, at high level in the playoffs. This would be, frankly, the most significant player that we've ever seen punished for something like this. I mean, it's going to have implications for the Heat, obviously. Terry Rozier didn't play in the opener last night as a coach's decision. He's on their books for $26 million for the season. You'd figure even if he wasn't in the opening night rotation, he was somebody as the season progressed, if injuries, forced them to change their rotation a little bit, he was going to play eventually. When his contract would have expired after the season, probably would have been able to at least, get on a roster somewhere next year as a free agent. Now, I mean, it certainly seems if these investigations prove that the allegations are true, his NBA career is over, and he probably has bigger problems than that.
Wow.
Yeah, arrested in Orlando this morning following the Heat's loss to the Magic last night. That was in Orlando. Then meanwhile in Portland, we get to the Chauncey Billups portion of this whole part of the story, a separate investigation involving the illegal poker. And we hear all the schemes that they said that they used to try to rig these poker games from the x-ray machines and everything that the FBI are alleging to have happened. This is a head coach of an NBA franchise, a former all-star, a great in the league. What do you take away from this, Sam? Because this is a pinnacle name in the game.
Pinnacle.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chauncey Billups is somebody that has by and large been held up as a very well-respected figure in the sport. Obviously, he was a Finals MVP with the Pistons. He was a candidate to be a GM at one point with the Cavaliers. Now a head coach, and it's just the sort of thing that does sort of make you think almost anybody in the sport now is vulnerable to getting involved in issues like this where gambling is concerned. I assume Portland is going to have to name an interim head coach at some point in the near future. Nate Bjorkgren is the only former head coach on their staff who was the coach of the Pacers for 1 year. As far as the longer-term view here goes, I don't know what to take away from this. I don't know how Portland could have been expected to know this, if this was going on at all before they hired him, if it was something that was happening, after the hire. I mean, we're still a little bit fuzzy on some of the details, but Chauncey Billups would not have been somebody you ever would have expected to be.
Not at all. Chauncey used to be a lot of people's favorite. Really. I'm shocked. I'm in awe. I'm wondering. I can't wait to. Oh my goodness. I'm shocked.
Involved in something like this, and the fact that he is just kind of shows that right now, given the state of gambling in the United States, it's a much more pervasive, widespread issue than we would have previously thought.
Yeah, this is the Portland Trailblazers team that lost yesterday to the Timberwolves at home, a franchise that is trying to be bought by the Carolina Hurricanes owner, and now a team leading that way. So much more to try to be able to figure out along the way. I know we will have a lot more questions, hopefully more answers as well. Sam Quinn, thank you so much.
And there's something I'm gonna watch. I'm not gonna shade them, but there's something I'm gonna watch later. Let's see if I can give y'all the name, and then y'all can kind of hold on. Let me see if I can give y'all the name. Go look up. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. I'll watch it. I'm cautious about what I say. I'm cautious. I am shocked, y'all. Like the video. Like the video. I'm cautious. Um, Paris. It was the name we talked about a minute ago, so I'm cautious about. I'm cautious about that one. Oh wait, man. Oh man. Oh man. You was like, don't do it. I know. You know when I hesitate.
And La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms, where our brave United States attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Casa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people for money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where card games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this.
So I would imagine more names are going to come up. We're going to follow that. But when you do a search in regards to the NBA players being arrested, names are being added. I can't confirm or deny what they had to do with it, whether they fixed the game or whether they were concerned they fixed the game. That's what I want to look into before I mention other celebrity basketball players or possible Hall of Fame basketball players, current players or ex-players or alleged. Chauncey Billups is a coach that these allegations are against.
Case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone a due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn it over to United States Attorney Nosella. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patel. To be clear, we're announcing today indictments in two major cases, both involving fraud. One involves sports betting, and the other involves illegal gambling, very specifically rigged poker games. The first indictment involves 6 defendants who are alleged to have participated in one of the most brazen sports corruption since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams. The second indictment involves 31 defendants alleged to have participated in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. These defendants, which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra. While the cases are separate, there are 3 overlapping defendants charged in both cases: Damon Jones, Eric Ernest, and Shane Hennon. The indictments in these cases contain only allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of law. But my message to the defendants who've been rounded up today is this: your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that. First, I would like to talk about United States versus Ernest, the NBA basketball gambling case. The defendants in this case are Eric Ernest, Marvez Farley, Shane Hennon, De Niro Laster, Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach, and Terry Rozier, a current NBA player. Other co-conspirators were previously charged for their roles in the scheme, including former NBA player Jonte Porter. Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses. They relied on corrupt individuals, including Jones and Rozier. They also misused information obtained through long-standing friendships that they had with NBA players and coaches. And in at least one instance, they got their information by threatening a current player, Porter, because of his pre-existing gambling debts. Defendants used this non-public information to place hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent bets, mostly in the form of prop bets on individual player performance. The bets were placed through online sports books and also in person at casinos. The defendants relied on a network of straw bettors to place the maximum amount of bets to increase their potential profits. Most of these bets succeeded, and the intended losses were in the millions of dollars. The defendants then laundered their illegal winnings in various ways: peer-to-peer platforms, bank wires, and simple cash exchanges.
Like the video, like the video. As I'm texting people right now, what do you think about the arrest? I'm over here being messy. Like the video, fair use, reaction clip.
The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers. Each defendant in the NBA gambling case has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Now, I would like to turn to the other case, United States versus Aiello, the rigged poker game case. Beginning as early as 2019, the defendants in this case...
So that's the big question. I'm wondering if certain men that felt they lost $100, $200, $500, if they're going to do like a class action lawsuit against the app. I'm wondering. Like the video, fair use, reaction clip.
Orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't.
And or the people that gambled in regards to the poker, if they lost money, if they're gonna then go after Chauncey or the organization. You know what I mean? Because there's different situations. There's the app, and then there's the poker.
No, is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information to an off-site operator. The off-site operator sent the information via cell phone back to a co-conspirator at the table, and that person at the table was known as the quarterback. The quarterback then signaled secretly the information he had received from others to others at the table, and together they used that information in order to win their games and to cheat the victims. Defendants used other cheating technologies such as poker chip tray analyzers, which is a poker chip tray that secretly reads cards using a hidden camera, special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards, and an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table. What you see depicted on the screen right now is an example of the X-ray table that reveals the cards. Although they are face down on the table, they can be read because of the X-ray technology. The Mafia, specifically members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese organized crime families, had pre-existing control over non-rigged, illegal poker games around New York City. As a result, they also became involved in the rigged poker games, helping to organize the games and taking a cut of the proceedings, and working to enforce the collection of debts. The defendants laundered their proceeds, including through cash exchanges, of multiple shell companies, and through cryptocurrency transfers. As part of the scheme, some of the defendants and their co-conspirators also committed acts of violence, including the gunpoint robbery of a person in order to obtain a rigged shuffling machine, and extortions that were perpetrated against victims in order to ensure that they repaid their gambling debts.
Hello.
Defendants who participated in the rigged poker scheme are charged with wire fraud conspiracy. Other defendants have been charged with crimes including illegal gambling, money laundering, Hobbs Act robbery, and extortions. This case demonstrates our office's unrelenting commitment to fighting the scourge of organized crime in whatever form it takes.
What we're announcing today is not just another take.
Well, first off, I'm showing this picture because the picture I was going to show was the press conference. Then there was another picture I was going to show, but I didn't want to show that out of respect. So I pull up what I can pull up because right now, when you look on Google, these are the pictures that's showing in most of the Google searches. There's 30 arrested. More people's names and faces and whatever's going to come out. I'm best color. I'm surprised. I was a Chauncey fan, so I'm gutted right now. Like I said, I've seen games. I probably got stuff that's signed in a box. I'm gutted. You think I want to show this picture? The other picture and the other thing I was gonna show, me and her agreed. Me and Paris said don't do it. There's more I'm looking into. There's a video I want to play right now. I'm not going to play it because I want to hear what's being said and I want to dissect what's being talked about regarding them out of respect. Some of your favorite basketball players might be involved in some of this, but everybody's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. That's why this is showing everywhere, and that's why I show it. I'm cautious about what I show. I'm cautious about what I do. I try to respect people that, you know, I may look or watch a game or whatever. So there's something I want to play right now, and I'm not gonna play it because I need to listen to it, and I need to stomach what's really going on, and I really want to get off because I want to call some guys and I want to find out how they feel about what's going on, and did they know, and have they ever went, or did they ever hear? Did they ever hear about this? Because there's about two I need to call, and I'm on here live. I want to call some people. So stop playing with me.
Down. It's the result of more than 2 years of coordinated investigative work by the NYPD's Joint Organized Crime Task Force and the FBI. 2 cases that exposed criminal networks led by 34 individuals who believed the rules did not apply to them. They hid behind layers of complexity, behind money, and behind influence, believing those things would shield them from accountability. The first case, Operation Nothing But Bet, exposed a gambling ring built around professional basketball.
Okay.
Where players and
okay, everybody, I'm done. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel. Like, comment, more pictures, more names. A lot's going to come out. There's a video I want to watch. There's some calls I need to make. And if these are the bigger fish that they had to pull down, that's why their pictures are showing. You Google it, their pictures are showing up first. Yeah. Well, prayers go out to their friends and family, innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. But the biggest thing is, these basketball players make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. And if they were fixing games, and if they were fixing poker games, and they had stuff, and then they was alleged fixing games and alleged threatening people, and then people were this is the other thing too. You got to think about different basketball players, younger gentlemen wanting to bet, make a little extra cash. You got to think about basketball players out of the league that was making smaller bets or bigger bets just to kind of, let me do this to, you know what I'm saying? And maybe some of them didn't even know about it. Guys like to do different things outside of, women like to do certain things, but that was a big thing where you could easily pick certain things. I remember guys talking about you could pick certain things and easily win $100, or you could easily lose $100 within a 10-minute period. It's going to get ugly very soon. It's going to be ugly. I think outside of some of the Diddy stuff I cover and some of the stuff we heard and alleged, I think this is very shocking, because you want people like Chauncey to retire, be well known for his basketball career. Now, if he is tied up into these allegations, which they say he got arrested, now that's going to be the legacy he leaves. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest thing. Leave a good legacy. I don't like when people get arrested, y'all. I just don't like it. But if you're making bad choices and this is what's happening, that's the other thing too. I'm wondering down the road, and we'll do more videos. I'll probably do another video, and I'll probably listen to the video, call some friends. But I want to hear some of the other bigger alleged names that might allege be involved. But court-wise, innocent till proven guilty. But if they've been doing this for 4 years, they gathered a lot of info. So, copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Oh, see, you from the D, so yeah, you know. What was that? The Silver Dome or Auburn Hills, the Palace of Auburn Hills, seeing these guys play. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. And if there's more names that we're gonna hear down the road, like I said, I was supposed to be doing something else. And then I was clicking and I was like, wait a minute, why am I seeing NBA players arrested gambling? And then I had to pop out and figure that out and just, okay, let me sit down, let me figure out what's going on. So it's kind of like I'm stunned, and I just had to cut the tablet off and get it reconfigured. And yeah, so it took me a minute just to kind of hear what was going on. But yeah, y'all, I'm about to gather some tea. I'm about to call one of my friends and see, and Boo and Bay, and talk to some of my friends. Some of my friends were saying their husbands and their sons do this together. They go on these apps and they do this stuff together as sons and fathers. So I'm wondering how they're gonna feel that if they got duped, if they were using the app and they remember, hey, the father and son put up $500 because they thought that they could win that, and they lost it. And then if the allegations of the lawsuit say that was one of the games they threw, I'm wondering if people are going to be, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking about. All the people I've talked to, the different apps, people that's been gambling, losing money, losing their paychecks over this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're gonna see more names mentioned. I brought y'all what I could bring y'all, and I'm gonna keep investigating. And most likely we'll talk about this tomorrow morning for show, for show, for show. I'm about to make this call. Yes, I am. I think they're off work. So you guys have a great evening. Not happy about this. We don't want our people from our culture to go to jail on stuff. They got family, they got friends, they got situations. And when Cat Williams said all lies are going to be exposed, he was not kidding. This is for for Chauncey, and that's the one thing. Certain people, I don't think he was that problematic in regards to like a lot of media or cheating or anything like that. So some of our favorite basketball players could be possibly involved in this, and we're just gonna have to just, you know what I mean? But yeah, if fathers and sons have lost money and these younger guys were losing money because they were just trying to make it through college and these games were fixed, people were, if that's true, this is bigger than we even think. It was affecting families, and they were gaining and other people were losing because they knew that they were going to either the poker table was fixed or a game was fixed. And you guys, we did talk about, basketball, we wonder, and then you see them in championships, and it's like, okay, you guys are great enough to, go 4-0. You're amazing. So why is it, 2-2? Or, so sometimes you wonder if stuff is fixed. You wonder. So I'm wondering if this is going to, I agree, Paris. I'm wondering if this is going to expand in other sports. And if so, baby, so check this out. Think about when, mm, think about somebody, I'll just be general. I'm general because think about somebody was just arrested in regards to them having gambling allegations against them. And then they got out and they were coming down the stairs all smiling. Their girl was on the bottom of the steps. And remember how I'm hearing he had said he's going to expose people. And people are like, he wasn't kidding. But if they've been investigating everybody for 3, 4 years, 4 years is what we're hearing, that's a long time to be investigating this. So they have proof on top of proof on top of proof on top of allegations. So we'll follow it. We'll see what happens. And if there's going to be class actions, what people are going to feel that certain games were fixed, husbands probably lost their wives trying to gamble, trying to win, and trying to understand. You know what I mean? So choices, choices, the choices people make. So there's that. Yeah, you guys, I wasn't expecting on going live, but when this happened, I had to. So we'll follow. We'll see what's going on, but I got to look into what this other situation is about this other player. I need to listen. Yeah. I almost put that in my title, Paris, but I was even cautious about putting that in the title. Yes, they have involvement. They got sloppy. Yeah. So tomorrow morning sometime, what's tomorrow? So if I do, it'll be either because remember how Paris, whenever I do 9 o'clock, I'll be like, who picked this time? Who picked this time? So probably 10 or 11 or 11 or 12 or 1. That's what I'm gonna look into. But okay, so this is what I will tell you guys. Go up and when you type in, because that way y'all can look it up and I ain't gotta spill the tea. When you look up NBA players arrested, you'll see one of the titles and there's a famous name right there, and he's talking about him. I just don't want to do it right now. When you look up NBA players that's arrested, he's talking about that person, but I haven't listened to the video yet. So I don't know what he's doing yet. But their name has been ringing bells in media slightly for about a good year. So I'm a listen to the video, see what he has to say, and if they're a part of, I just want to know how they're a part of. But yeah, it's very interesting. But I saw it, I haven't heard it, I've been live. So like the video. Thanks for being here, everyone. Be blessed, focus on happy, safe relationships. And you can tell, Paris, you can tell I'm in shock. I'm shocked. But people have made choices. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye. Be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, Paris. I hope all is well. Goodbye, everyone.